my name is Josie, Apex content creator and a Twitch streamer. And today we have our guest, Ross the Squirrel. He is also a content creator. He does the majority of his stuff on YouTube and TikTok. So absolutely feel free to check him out. We're going to talk a bit about his journey and his experience as a creator and answer some questions. So we'll go ahead and bring him in. Come on in, Ross.
Hey, Josie, how's it going?
Hey, going well. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you being here. I'm super excited to dig in and to tell everybody a bit about your experience. I know that yours, the other people that I've had on here haven't been as big, at least on the TikTok side. So I think it'll be really awesome for everybody to hear about your content creation journey there. How many followers are you at and like views? Give us some stats really quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to be here and thanks for having me. So right now have about 134,000, right over 130,000 on TikTok. And I started that about a year and a half ago. So I started that in 2021. Probably if I were to, take an educated guess, somewhere around maybe 150 million to 175 million views across all my videos on TikTok.
Yes.
And then YouTube, I have about 24,000 subscribers there as well.
Yes. So that's awesome. You're one of the bigger creators, which is really exciting.
Yeah, cool. But, I know I'm not that big, but I'm still proud of it, but trying to keep growing for sure.
Yeah, it's so funny because whenever you're at that milestone, you're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm that big, or like you compare yourself to others. But then when someone else sees you, they think like, oh my gosh, because I was even thinking for myself, like I'm at a little over 10,000, and I remember when I first started, like that would be crazy to me, even just to think about 10,000. But now that I'm there, I'm like, I'm so small. I'm a tiny little fish in like a huge pond.
Right, I got you.
And then even if I were to hit 100K or even in the millions, you're still probably going to be like, oh, like that's great, but I still feel.
Yeah, it's hard not to compare yourself. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone does it, and especially on social media.
Especially with TikTok, with the virality factor being so easy now and accessible to everybody. But I will say I've seen a lot of videos blow up and people don't get the followers though. Like the ratio is not there. And so I think like even my videos that have gone well from a small scale, I'll sometimes get a lot more followers from that. And then the ones that even go super viral, so it's all about that consistency.
100%.
Which we'll get into more. So let's talk about your gaming journey. I always like to open with that. Like, how did you start? I know you're a console player. Like, how old were you? What games have you gotten into?
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah. So I've definitely been a gamer like all my life. Trying to think back like to the earliest that I can even remember, probably when I was like 5 or 6 years old. Totally started out on like a Game Boy Color. Played that as I was in the back of my parents' car, just driving to the store or wherever. Really have mostly, been on console. I just got a PC like a year ago, but
yes, I remember when you were first looking for that.
Yeah. That's a whole new world for me, was trying to figure out a PC, but really started with console stuff, had a Game Boy Color, then moved to like a PS2 and then a Wii and then a 360. And then I've stayed like PlayStation from there on out. So I've got the PS4 and the PS5. PS5 is what I use for all my content stuff. But really with like content creation and everything like that, it's been something I wanted to do for so long. And I'm in my mid 20s and I didn't start until I was like 25, 26 doing all of this stuff. But I really wanted to do it for a really long time and just kind of talked myself out of it, or thought I wasn't going to be able to really go anywhere with it. Started playing Apex, right when it came out, the day that it came out, and really enjoyed it. And even with that, I didn't start making content until it was out for more than like 2 years. But, something just clicked. I was like, hey, I'm actually just going to try it, see where it goes, see what happens. And I'm really glad that I did, because it's opened up some awesome opportunities for myself. And I just really enjoy it, which is really cool.
What was the click for you for when you wanted to try content? Was it really just this is something I've kind of wanted to do and now I just wanted to give it a shot?
Yeah.
Or did someone inspire you?
Yeah. So I tried before, I don't even remember, like before COVID and everything, I tried very briefly streaming on Twitch, and I knew that I didn't have too much of a setup just starting on my console. But it's still doable for sure. And I tried it and I was like, you know what, I'm not really being consistent right now. I'm not really in like cards for me at the moment. So I kind of stopped there and then reevaluated and thought about it a little bit harder of how I wanted to start out and everything, and then decided to actually just go for it. I was kind of going back and forth if I was going to try again. And I did. Didn't really have anyone in particular. Like I didn't really watch too many streams or anything like that initially to get me excited or interested in it. I kind of really, what was like the deciding factor for me was I finally downloaded TikTok and I started watching TikToks and I saw what other people were doing. And I was like, okay, I personally think I could do this at least at the same quality that someone is doing, if not maybe a little bit better. And that's kind of the driving factor that I had.
I think one of the best things about there's so many good things, but what I love about what you do is your editing. Your editing is absolutely insane. How long did it take you to get there? Did you have inspiration from that? Like, I really want to hear about that today, because I feel like that's where you really stand out, and that's where you've made your mark, you know?
Thank you. I appreciate that. So really funny with all of that. So again, when I started all this, I literally just had my PS4, like just had my console. I wasn't using my PC to edit or anything like that. And I think that's where, you know, people can think you need so much like high-end stuff to get going, and you really don't. I literally started from, I don't even know, for the first 6 months, which in those 6 months I probably got 30 to 40,000 followers on TikTok. And in that time, I literally edited on my PlayStation. Like there is
the share. I didn't know that actually. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there's the Share Factory app is what it's called. It's on both PS4 and PS5. I would edit on the console. I would do my voiceovers on there and everything. And it's in horizontal format. So it's on like, you know, it would be better suited for YouTube, but I would edit it all on there, send it to myself on my phone via the PlayStation app, download it on my phone, use an app like InShot or CapCut and make it vertical video and post it. Like there were definitely a lot of steps that I needed to do, but I got it to work. I didn't spend the money right away, didn't need that investment of a PC up front. And then I would just, you know, post that way. But then once I got my PC, and now what I've done for the last year, I use Adobe Premiere Pro, you know, looked at some videos, looked at some just tips and everything, and seeing what other creators were doing to kind of then make my own personal way of editing that I wanted to, but taking into account like what works well and what doesn't. And for myself, I really enjoy video editing, but I know that like I decided to go with Premiere Pro just because I wanted to learn that program, because I know it's such like a marketable skill to have, especially with the other Adobe Creative Suite products or programs.
I like Premiere Pro the best as well. I think it's good, and there is a bit of a learning curve. Did you ever have a moment where you were just so frustrated or like you had certain things, or was it pretty smooth for you because of your editing, or did you just YouTube like?
Yeah, there's definitely, you know, starting out frustrations for sure that I would say that I would run into when I was learning Premiere Pro. I can't think of like a specific example that I have, but definitely if there's anything that came up, I would just head over to YouTube and it would pretty much sort itself out that way, which is nice.
I would walk away if I couldn't get it from YouTube. Like I would try, of course, to research and see. And sometimes you just need to walk away, especially if you've been at it for a few hours. And then right when you come back, it's either fixed or you click something and you're like, oh.
Oh, there's definitely been times where I just like accidentally click something on the keyboard and the whole like window just looks completely different. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I did.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think Premiere Pro was for myself relatively easy to learn just because I'm familiar with other Adobe products. Like especially Adobe, like Photoshop and Illustrator, which isn't necessarily for video editing, but just kind of understanding, you know, the way that Adobe is set up a little bit helps for sure. But something that was really foreign and hard for me was OBS with streaming. That was
I think so. It's so funny because I've had a couple of people on before and they've all talked about their journeys, of course. And it is really interesting to see that a lot of people have similar backgrounds of where you don't really need much. And I think that's so many people think you need the top tier equipment, you need to spend all this money. And like my webcam was only $30 or so, especially if you get a Black Friday deal. I think Razer had something.
100%.
If you get a streaming setup, OBS is free, and you don't even necessarily need a computer. We had one girl and she borrowed her computer from her friend, and she literally would lug the computer into her room, replug it in for when he left for work, and then came back during the day. So
that's crazy.
You just work with what you have.
Yeah.
But and she even said, and a few other people were saying that if you're not a tech person, the streaming side of like learning all the technology and seeing that stuff. And I've even avoided some of the cool features. I know I'm not using probably a quarter of the features that you can use.
For sure.
But yeah. So how with YouTube, do you find, because you did Twitch and then YouTube, do you find a big difference of the usefulness, like with tools, or if somebody's like, let's talk about the pros and cons of somebody's debating going on one platform versus another?
So so for myself, I was bouncing back and forth last year between Twitch and YouTube for streaming. Wasn't really sure which one I wanted to go with. I like both. I think both have ups and downs for sure. But for me, knowing that I was going to be making these TikToks, which I could also use as YouTube Shorts, and then longer form videos for regular YouTube videos and streaming, to me, it just made sense to have that all compiled on one platform, which is YouTube. Where Twitch, you're basically just making it where you do have to be like live to to use the platform. Like people aren't going to be going to Twitch to find your clips realistically at the end of the day.
Right.
So I kind of realized with that, I was like, you know what? I want to bounce over to YouTube, give it a go with streaming and see how it goes. But also YouTube has invested a lot more into their streaming platform to compete with Twitch in the last year. Which has been awesome. And I think I hopped on at the right time.
I think so too. If I could have redone it, I'm stuck on Twitch. Like that's where everybody is, and that's where I feel most comfortable. But if I could redo it, I would have gone on YouTube. And also, when you're a Twitch streamer and you're trying to get partnered, they ask you for your YouTube and they ask you for your Twitter. So if you already have your YouTube built, exactly like what you said, why not just do it all in one spot? And then the subscriptions, it's easier for monetization, I feel like, too.
Yeah. And transparently, like YouTube takes less money from the creators than Twitch does.
Yep. And Twitch is getting more and more greedy, which is crazy because it's like you're already taking, like, you really don't need to. It's ridiculous.
The one thing that I do think is interesting that and this is my speculation and just my thoughts, I don't think brands from sponsorship related stuff are really looking at YouTube streamers at the moment, because I do think I am missing out on that from not streaming on Twitch. Twitch, with the CCV, the concurrent viewers that I get on YouTube, like I strongly feel like I would be able to be partnered on Twitch since I have like 100 plus in my YouTube streams all the time. Like I average 100 at least. But I feel like if I was partnered on Twitch, just having that like check mark and having all of that, I think the brands are still looking over at Twitch and for larger creators, specifically streaming. If you're a large creator on YouTube, those opportunities are there. But when it comes to like a large creator on YouTube posting long form videos, those opportunities are there, but I don't know if they're there just yet for streamers.
Do you think that it's comparable for Twitch partner with how many views that you get on Twitch regularly versus YouTube? Like, is it, because I know with Twitch, the competition and the way the discoverability, everything is so much, it's really challenging there. But with YouTube, I'm not as familiar because I'm not on there. Would you say that they're comparable where if you have like 100 views in YouTube, it's just as challenging for Twitch? Or do you think that there are some, like, there's some easier or harder things from YouTube versus Twitch from like that partner standpoint or that check mark?
So it definitely, it feels like YouTube almost needs like some middle tier element, if that makes sense. Like Twitch, you've got the affiliate, which realistically at the end of the day is pretty easy to hit. You need 50 followers, average like 3 viewers and all that. YouTube, to be partnered, you need 1,000 subs, 4,000 watch hours over, I think it's the last 90 days or is it the last year? If I remember, I'm misremembering that, but then that's it. Then you don't get the check mark until you get 100,000 subscribers.
Oh my gosh, that's such a big jump.
So you don't get that like official check mark, which is then like next to your name and comments and on your channel page and everything like that. You don't get that until you're at 100,000. So there's that middle ground that I feel like specifically from a streaming perspective would be really nice to have on YouTube if you hit a certain amount of concurrent viewers or how many times you stream in a week, chatters, etc., anything like that. That's where I feel like YouTube might be lacking a little bit. Also, I do think Twitch has a much better integrated chat platform or chat feature, like live chatting, than YouTube. That's where YouTube's a little bit lacking, I would say.
Yes, that's what I'd heard as well. But again, I haven't experienced it. And I think that's also why I'm stuck on Twitch, also because that's already where everybody is. But that's where I thrive is based off of that chat. Because I'm not that good of a player. And
I hear you. And that's what I do too. It's all about chat for me.
Yes. And so that's super important and valuable for that. But also, I think it's a good point, though, because like you said, YouTube is investing to compete with Twitch. And so I think that over time, YouTube is eventually going to surpass Twitch, especially as content creators are going to get so frustrated with how they're treating, how much money is being taken. And also even like going on the female side, there's been a lot instances that I've seen where Twitch is not taking it seriously at all about like harassment and serious problems. And Twitch has just completely overlooked it. And then they'll post things like, "Oh, we support our women," and they're like, "Oh, really?"
Right. And they don't really stand by like what they're putting out there.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that might scare some people away too.
Yep, I hear you. I think YouTube knows that they know that their creators are what make their platform.
Yeah.
And I don't think Twitch like puts that out there. Like they're not expressing that love, I guess, but YouTube does, which is good.
I completely agree. I want to talk to you about how you got your name. Yeah. Because I know that you originally had Ross Bob and now Ross the Squirrel. So I think that's a really good story.
Yeah, 100%. So my name is a really funny story. So my good friend who I play Apex with basically every day, his name is Bob Ross Squirrel. He's the OG. So he's got the name. And if you guys are familiar at all with Bob Ross, he's he used to have a TV show. He would paint very therapeutic paintings, and his voice was just really calming. But he also had
trees.
happy little trees, happy little accidents. Yeah, happy little accidents. The white titanium or whatever, all the different colors. He had pet squirrels that would be on the show. So Bob Ross Squirrel is my good friend, and I wanted to be exactly like him and have a similar name since we would always play duos together in Apex and thought it'd be funny, basically having the same name. So my name was Ross Bob Squirrel. And then I started all this content stuff and I was like starting to grow. And I was thinking in the long term, I was like, don't want to potentially get sued or have any legal issues.
I know we were talking about that.
With the Bob Ross company. So I changed it to be a little bit more generic, but still keeping like the Ross name. And then I think the squirrel part is kind of funny. So,
So do you know why he came up with the squirrel part or?
No. Like I lived with him in college. Like we would just throw on Bob Ross sometimes, like on Netflix at just in the evening and stuff like that. And one year, him and his now wife went as Bob Ross, and then she went as his like the paint. Is it easel? Is that the right terminology?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. And so that's what they went as Halloween 1 year. And but like literally with like real paint, and he like painted her throughout the night. So like Bob Ross has just
such a good idea.
Yeah, it's actually they have really good ideas for Halloween. But Bob Ross has just been something that's been in our lives for a while. And I think he just likes the squirrels that are on there. So it's
there you go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do people ever get confused, or how often do you ask about your name?
Oh yeah. So if people ever, like make a video where they mention me or something like that, or like an article gets written or something like that, like on a gaming site, so many times they'll say Bob Ross Squirrel. It's really funny. So they'll use his name. But yeah, people will ask me, about my name, or they'll just shorten it to like Ross, or sometimes we'll just shorten it to Squirrel and stuff like that, which is funny.
Is he still streaming and gaming as well?
He's gaming, yeah. He doesn't stream or anything. No.
Okay.
No. He's like in med school and everything, so he's
he's
crazy busy. But he's the time that he has to game is very surprising to me. So he's still he still games with me, which is really cool.
Yeah,
that's like good. How we stay friends, which is awesome.
That's good. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that where even if you just game with them, it's so nice though too, where even if you do have to take a bit of a break and then you come back and it's just like it never like nothing ever changed.
No time passed. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that having that connection, the connectivity with online just makes that so much easier, and it's so nice.
Oh yeah.
Where in person, like you just wouldn't be able to have form those connections or have it just pass like nothing happened.
I agree with you.
Stay in touch with people that you haven't stayed in touch with for a while. There was even a girl who I used to work with when I was in high school at a high school restaurant, and she saw that I was a streamer.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, I saw on your Instagram, like I'm thinking about getting into streaming. I'd love to game with you. And I was like, I didn't even know that you gamed, and she didn't know that I did either. Yeah. And so we're gonna play some games together. And I literally haven't talked to her since my high school, and she's like 5 or 10 years older, I think. Okay. So cool. It's just like odd pairings or partnerships that you wouldn't expect.
Right. It definitely is. It's a great way to connect.
Who do you think is one of the coolest or one of the best experiences that you've had from meeting a friend or someone online?
Let me think about that.
I know that's super vast, and I'm sure that there's a lot, but is there anyone who's stuck out, or even a couple of people that have stuck out to you where you just can't believe that you met them online, or like they're somewhere across the world, or even just local, or something crazy like that?
I kind of have a couple answers. So definitely from streaming and just any content creation, stuff like that, especially streaming though, like the community that I have is people all over the world. I mean, that's the craziest thing to me is there's people in Australia or Japan or the UK or anywhere in Europe, that are just tuning in at the exact same time. That's the craziest thing to me.
Do you think that has to do with your TikTok as well, to get those, and YouTube, like because of the algorithm to get people from? Do you think TikTok is more of a play with that, or YouTube, or is it both from all over the world?
Probably both. Okay. I think also the time that I would stream makes sense too. Because if I'm starting, like afternoon time here in the US, it's going to be potentially nighttime over in Europe. So that definitely plays a factor, I would say, as well.
I think so too. I always, the time that you streamed was always interesting, like in the afternoon.
Sure. Yeah. It works out well, I think, to get different types of people just based on the time. So I would say though, for like other people that I've met, honestly, I'm going to say yourself, because we've been, how long, we've been like, you're just messaging back and forth for so long, and we always bounce ideas off of each other, and it's super helpful. Know.
Yeah, it really is. I would say, and we met on TikTok too. And I also think this is for people as well, because I am a smaller creator too, for sure. And it can be intimidating sometimes when you do have people in the like 100,000 or even million, when you connect with people. But honestly, like, they're all just the same, we're all just people, we're all just creating content. And there was even a girl I remember, and she was like, oh my gosh, like I look up to you so much. I eventually want to get to where you are one day. And I'm like, I'm not even that, like, it's so small, but to some people it looks crazy. And
for sure.
And she just passed me, and I was like, yay, good for you. Like, I knew she would, but it was so great. And just the consistency.
I'm sure that felt great, like for you to like see that as well.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic. Like I've stayed in touch with her, but and we've known each other for a bit now, right? Like I would say, I think I found you when you were even in the 40,000 followers, and then you exploded.
It's been at least a year, like for sure.
Because that's when I started taking my content creation somewhat seriously as well, and like dabbling around with some stuff. And then that's when you just get to meet some really cool. It's so awesome when you're following somebody and then it's like, oh, you're mutuals, and you're like, oh my gosh, has that who has that happened with you?
Yes, I've been trying to do that more with just people similar sized and also smaller than me and also bigger. Just trying to continue to connect with different creators, because everyone's going to bring something new to the table that will help you. Just learn and continue to grow. Some big names, I would say, and if you're not familiar, just let me know. But bigger names in like the TikTok world and like YouTube that I've connected with, there's Skeptation, Tony Romero, Garrett, Thornton Smash, bigger names in like Apex that I've connected with.
Yes.
Revan, the nub, is on TikTok. He's got like 200,000 followers. Ankle Sprain has like maybe like 130, 140, something like that. And then, I try to stay connected too with some smaller people as well, smaller creators, just because I think it's good to connect with all different sizes and see what people are doing.
For sure. Do you guys ever, when you connect with them, have you ever created content together, or do you game together? How do you keep those relationships?
Yeah, so one cool thing that I did was
because you have your custom lobbies too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to go into. So this one guy, he's on YouTube. He streams also on YouTube. His name is Robo Hobo. He has close to probably like 70,000 subscribers, and he streams all the time. And so I reached out to him, seeing that I just like cold cut, just like reached out to him. Didn't really know him at all beforehand, but had watched his streams a few times, thought he was chill, had a good vibe and everything. And I asked him if he wanted to do, a community versus community type of event in customs within Apex, where we had 30 people from his side going up against 30 people from my side in like a ALGS scrims style tournament. And basically, pretty friendly. We just had people bouncing back over from each stream, kind of, cheering people on, and new people were coming over to my stream, new people from my community going over to his and everything like that. Yeah. And then we just had, kind of like a nice little wager that whichever community won, the other creator just had to gift like 5 memberships on YouTube, which is always nice.
Good.
Yeah. So, kind of bringing some competition into it. So done stuff like that with some other creators, done just some like funny videos and stuff in private lobbies, or just kind of game together, like ran duos or trios together as well, which is nice.
I do want to talk more about the private lobbies too, because I think that's also something that stands out. But first, we will take a quick break, a quick ad break, and we will be right back.
Sounds good.
Okay, and we are back. So we were talking a bit about private lobbies. I know we were getting into that. So let's talk to me about how you got involved in the private lobbies, how that changed your content game, your interaction with other people. Let's get into that.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, private lobbies in Apex Legends are very, very exclusive, very hard to get. I don't know why. I wish they were more available. They should be more available to the player base, but unfortunately at this time they're not.
So can you add more about what private lobbies are? Because there's a bunch of people here that don't know about gaming. So give a little more, like talk to them like they're 8.
So in Apex, normally you can go ahead and just hop in a game with your friends or completely by yourself, and you're going to be matched with random people around like your similar server area and everything like that. So normal games, that's what basically 99%, if not more, of the player base are doing in Apex. Now, there are private custom lobbies that you are able to create. However, you need approval beforehand from the publisher EA in order to do that. So within this, you can go ahead, choose the map that you want to play. Sometimes there's maps that aren't available in the game for everyone else, like those 99% of players. You can have maps that aren't available in the normal game at the time. You can, do as little as many players as you want, up to the max, which is 60 players. You can do both game modes, which is Battle Royale and Arenas. Kind of just allows for some more fun stuff, and we make up our own rules that we can do. Like sometimes we'll do like hide and seek games, or we'll do certain weapons only, which you can't really do that type of stuff in the normal games. Just kind of allows a lot more uniqueness, I would say.
How do you get everybody to work together? And do you ever get people who try to go rogue? Because I know we can have like up to 100 people, or how many people can you have?
So it's 60. Yeah, 60, so it's up to 60.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot to manage. And so what I really like about it and I'll go back to answer your question. What I really like about it is that I used to do viewer games where I was playing with viewers, and in Apex, you can only squad up with 2 other people max. You can only have a team of 3 total. When I do customs, I can have a full lobby of 60 players that are within my community, all participating and playing at the same time, all together, which is really cool. And yeah, it is a lot to manage when we have all 60 players. When it's something easy, when it's a normal battle royale game, there's no rules, it's just a normal game, super easy to manage. When we do something else where it's like hide and seek, which would be 3 players, and then the remaining, which would be 57, like 3 players are seeking, the remaining 57 are hiding around the map and trying to stay hidden. And I make it where those hiders cannot like deal any damage. They can't punch, they can't shoot or anything like that. The seekers are the only ones that are allowed to shoot. Definitely had instances, where people are not following the rules. And I honestly am very strict with my rules because we have this limited and exclusive ability to do these types of games.
Yes.
That if there's going to be someone that's going to ruin it, I literally have in my Discord, I have a private channel where I just put people's names down if they're banned, because they're just going to ruin the fun. If there's 59 people that are all following the rules and there's that last one person, it ruins everything. So I'm super strict. I'll just, we'll end the game, I'll kick them, and then we'll get someone else in their place. And that's how I describe it. Like, if you guys are not going to listen to the rules, someone will, and they'll take your spot and you guys won't play. I kind of have to bring it down as if I'm like a babysitter or a teacher and they are in kindergarten, and that's how I treat it. You
have a lot of kids though. You have younger.
There are a good amount of teenagers. Sure. Yeah. For sure.
At least, I know when you were on Twitch and even with TikTok, you had a big, like a younger crowd, right? Do you still have that?
I would say like probably, well, it's actually really interesting because I can look at the demographics, on YouTube and TikTok. Mm-hmm. And the last time I looked, that we're at least watching my content, not necessarily participating in like these customs, but watching, the majority it was like the age of like 18 to like 25 or whatever that range is, which I thought was a little surprising. I thought it was going to be more like the 13 to 18 range.
Yeah, I honestly did too with my content, and it was like 20 to 30, and I was like, that's pretty good though. Like,
right. Same. Yeah, that's right. That's how I was feeling. So that's the second most, is the 13 to like 18 or whatever numbers that they use. But I was still surprised to see that like the majority are around like my age and like the mid 20s, mid to younger 20s
even on
section.
TikTok too, and
even on TikTok,
TikTok, you would expect maybe a younger crowd, especially.
But there's also people might lie about their age. You never know.
Yep.
You never know. So you got to take that data with how it's presented.
So when you play with these customs though, and can you tell if it's more younger kids or older, or not necessarily once you're in the custom?
You can't tell at all. I can see what platform they're on, so I can see if they're on PC, it's a little PC icon. Since I'm on PlayStation, if they're on PlayStation, it'll be a PlayStation icon. If they're on Xbox then or Switch, it'll just be a controller.
Gotcha.
But there are a good amount of Switch players, and honestly, I would associate a lot of Switch players with a younger audience, just since they might not have the capability of having like a higher end system or something like that to play.
Yeah,
and that's usually what it ends up being like. If Switch players are usually going to be a little bit younger, at least in my customs.
Are they because you're so strict with your rules, do you not have as many problems, or do you have like a problem almost every time with at least one? Yeah,
it's probably like, so I'll stream about 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. And there's definitely been like weeks that we don't have any issues if I'm streaming 3 times.
Yeah. Wow. Do you do custom lobbies every time you stream?
But yeah, like probably if I'm streaming, 3 times a week, so 12 times a month, probably 11 times in the month I'm doing customs.
Oh my gosh, that's
because they're so engaging.
Yeah,
which is great.
And your content,
it's a win-win, because then I can make content out of it that I can, repurpose onto a TikTok video or a YouTube short.
Do you ever miss though the game itself, or like playing actual Apex instead of the customs?
So the thing that's nice is I can decide if I want to be in the game within customs, playing with my community at the same time, or if I want to spectate. So I can choose. But honestly, for myself, I really enjoy just spectating and not playing, at least when I'm streaming, because for me, there's too much going on. Like if I'm,
God,
and
I
I'm
know.
sure you know, because you're trying to focus on the
Yes.
game, care about people in chat and interact with them all at the same time. And when I'm spectating and observing, it really allows me to just continuously have a conversation going with chat, which is really engaging. And that's what these people want. Yeah. And what I like about it, they want the attention, and I like interacting with them. And I know I wouldn't be able to give that if I was streaming like ranked or even just a regular like playing with viewers pub style type of games.
Yeah. Especially because you have 100, you said about like 100 viewers as well. That's different. I think that once you break through the like 60, 70, and it totally depends on how active your chat is, but I find when you get closer to that 100 range, that's when it's harder to keep up with chat. Usually when you're in the 20, 30, 40 or below, and again, it just depends. Sometimes people are spamming and going crazy, but for the most part, it's pretty doable to be reading chat and playing. But yeah, when you're at that higher level, I could totally see that being a lot more challenging.
Yeah. But then I don't feel like if I'm doing like a ranked stream, and if I even have half that, if I have 50 people watching me still chatting, I feel like I'm going to either like tank my gameplay, which is not going to be good for the stream or for just myself, especially if I'm playing ranked. And then also at the same time, I'm not going to be like focusing on chat as much, and it's just going to be a downward spiral from there.
I completely agree. And that's also why a lot of people assume, oh, if you're just a really good player, that's all you need for streaming. I would actually say that's one of the lowest things that you need to be a successful streamer, because there's so many good players, and
you either need to be that top of the top or else.
And even I know people that are literally the top of the top that play ALGS, which is like a tournament for Apex. You have to get in. It's really intense. Oh, yeah. And I'm pretty sure you win like tens of thousands of dollars, if not in the hundred thousands. But they will have under 10 viewers. Wow. Consistently on Twitch, and they're the top of the top, like one of the best players. And people just don't like. Because if you're not paying attention, it's all about like that community and that that how you handle that, which again we can talk about too with your community and how you let's get into talking about like community, how you manage that, and your thoughts around it.
Yeah, totally. So kind of going back to my mindset of when I started all the content creation and everything with that, biggest thing I was seeing where I wanted to stand out, and just for my own personal beliefs as well, what I was seeing so much in gaming, and it's still so apparent, is it's so toxic at times, whether it's just rudeness towards people, or like sexist stuff or racist stuff, and that does not vibe with me at all. And so I knew that when I started my content stuff, I really wanted to be the polar opposite of that, be very like welcoming and accepting and just open arms to everyone that was coming my way, which has paid off tremendously, because with that, I think we do have a really good community underneath, all my socials and everything like that. Whether it's Discord or just in YouTube or on TikTok, people are, for the most part, generally kind to each other, which is really nice. But yeah, that's just what I was really after, and it goes a long way, I think.
I completely agree. I was actually very surprised. I think that what you put out and what your expectations are, and kind of how you are as a person and how you guide it, that's what you attract. And it's really cool when you look at your Discord or your chat and you say, wow, like they're all there for me, and this is the group that I brought in. And then when people compliment your community and you're like, wow, like that's my community. Like we did that, we welcomed people in, and for you to nip things in the bud when they're not. People come in and just be like, sorry, we don't do that here. Or like, I think having boundaries and having certain phrases that are just, those are always good. Luckily I didn't really have to handle that too much. I thought I was going to have to a lot more than I did. I think it was helpful because I had such a great mod, but still,
that's nice.
I was blessed. I was like, wow, this was a lot easier than I even expected,
Yeah. It can get interesting at times, for sure.
For sure. Especially when people are coming from all over the world and all different platforms, just like what you do.
Yeah. And there's so much stuff like just anything happening in the world, you know, like whether it's
Yes.
politics stuff or just anything like that.
Yeah.
And I try to keep that, at least the way that I look at it. Yeah, try to keep it out. The way I look at it is like gaming and stuff like that is a time to, you know, take a step back, disassociate a little bit from the real world.
Relax.
Exactly. So I usually don't allow like those types of conversations either, because it can just, you know, people have opinions and it can just usually turn sour.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because you're not necessarily, even if you have a good point or a good you want to have a healthy conversation about it, that's not the place. Like, there are political streams that you can be on, or there's other, or maybe if you want to message somebody separately, that's fine. But when you're bringing everybody into it and your tone is hard to read when you're chatting, and then as a streamer, and then it just gets really uncomfortable because you might want to chime in and then something you're saying is getting taken out of context with what you believe, and it's a lot more complicated than just black and white. That's why politics are politics. So I'm the same way. Like you just really want to be careful about that, because the last thing you want is for things to get taken out of context. And man, people will be the first one to clip it. You said this. And you're like, no, I didn't.
Right, for sure. Right.
So
exactly. Another thing I was just going to say about community that I've really tried to maintain, and I think we've done a pretty good job of, is, you know, I don't expect that these people are going to like donate and stuff like that on stream. I think people go into content creation being like, I want to do this so I can, you know, make money, quit my job, yada, yada, which, you know, is like the dream when you think about it. But if you're doing it solely to be like, hey, can I get like, here's like $10 from someone or something like that, you know, it's just not the way to do it. I think what I've done that has really helped continue to build a community is by giving back to our community that we have. So if someone likes,
you do a really good job with that, and it's kind of like a win-win too. I was going to ask about kind of your incentives, and it's good because it helps like build your community from it, but also please talk more about that.
Sure. So we'll just do giveaways a bunch of the time. So there's Apex coins, which you can use to buy stuff in game with. Yeah. So definitely, if you're ever getting donated on stream or anything like that, like that is just crazy when you think about it. Like someone is going out of their way to pay you because you're giving them like enjoyment or content or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And whether it's $1 or $100, you got to make sure you're like going crazy for it, because that is so fun. And whatever someone can donate. And I always try to make sure as well that I'm expressing how appreciative I am for those people that aren't donating as well, because there's, you don't know anyone, you don't know everyone's circumstance. They are there, they're showing up like all the time, even if they're not donating, they're giving their time to you,
which is just as valuable, if not maybe more.
That's what I think as well. But what I try to do is like, I know that like I have a full-time job, you know, outside of this, so I don't need the money that's coming in from streaming. I just keep trying to either funnel it back into, I bought a PC, you know, like to increase the quality of my streams and all of that, or buying just like new equipment and everything, or giving back to the community. Like the other week we did a 1v1 tournament in Apex where it was like a bracket style. So going down the list, like first place, we gave away a keyboard and like $50 in PayPal and like stuff like that. So I'm always trying to do fun, unique stuff. Or if I'm just streaming, I'll be like, hey, do you guys want to do an Apex coin giveaway to people that are watching? Give that. Always trying to do stuff to give back. Craziest thing, one person the other week, absolutely insane, donated over $500 on stream, and ridiculous. Like I didn't even know what to say, but I have some really good ideas that I'm trying to do, and just do an awesome tournament / giveaway to the community, because like at the end of the day, I don't need that money. Like I want to keep building the community is what I'm really after. And I know that if I keep putting the money into it, it's just going to keep growing from there. Not even the money, just the size of the
It's like you're investing. It's an investment.
Exactly.
At that point,
that's how I look at it. Yep.
And if you look at the top, even they made a release of how much people were making from Twitch. Yeah. And what was it? Like even the top 0.01% was barely making a livable wage, not even including taxes. Yep. So if you are going into it like that, it's not great. I also think charity streams are really good too. If you can get back there, it was really amazing to see what people were hoping to. And I think also just prefacing again, like you don't have to give. If you want to, it's great. But I was always so uncomfortable, even if we had like goals or like donation goals or something, because you feel bad. It's like, these are just regular people. If anything, you should be asking money from the brands or from YouTube or Twitch, like the big ones, not your community.
I agree.
So I felt so bad.
The worst part is when there are those people that really want to support you because they care about like what you're doing and stuff like that. And then something on Twitch or on YouTube, they're taking a percentage, which does suck because like YouTube takes 30%, let's say. So if someone donates $10, $7 is going to me, $3 is going to YouTube. And that's, that person is trying to do that for you. And that sucks that there's just a middleman taking some money because.
Right. Which I guess I get it though, because you have to have a platform, but I still feel like that's a lot. Like, do they really need that? I feel like even if they just did 10% and which is even crazier.
Which is like 50 or whatever.
Yeah. Even with partnered, which is insane. So a couple more things I want to talk about before we wrap up, because I do want to show your clips too. So let's talk about the mental gymnastics that you have when it comes to posting and like just being a content creator. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All the time. I'm like, if I'm working on a video, I'm like sometimes way too invested into the numbers. Like I'm way too worried about, is this something that's going, to perform well? Is it going to flop? And all of that. And usually the way it works is that if there's something you're really passionate about and working on, it's not going to do as well as something that you're working on for like 5 seconds. That takes no time. It's usually how it goes. It never fails. Yes. But, I feel like that's something that I struggle with a lot, is worrying about posting something that is going to go quote unquote viral all the time.
I will say though, you probably have that because you are a bigger content creator, because there's more pressure, and you've already gone viral so many times that you sort of know what works and what doesn't. And so that pressure is there. I think when you're smaller and your content doesn't go as viral as regularly, there's not that expectation or that pressure.
That's fair.
I would argue that. Maybe not, but.
No, I hear you. And I kind of also, I think, associate it with, after working with different brands and stuff on different deals, that if I like have, because brands are going to be looking at like, let's say your last 10 videos. Yeah. And, probably average views of my last 10 videos would be, I don't know, somewhere on TikTok would be like between like 50 and 100,000, something like that. Right. And if I have a video in those last 10 that's under 10,000 views, it's going to drag down that whole average. And they're going to see it and they're going to be like, they're going to be like, oh, we see that your last 10 videos range from like 6,000 all the way up to like 500,000 views. You're really inconsistent. So there's that factor as well. But
if you look at other people with TikTok, and also what makes me so mad with brands is when they come with their script and you're like, no, let the creators post the way where, like, even let's say if you're giving to an influencer and you want them to talk about a necklace or like a jewelry piece, then they want you to be like, this is so-and-so, it's like, no, just have a video. Have a video of you wearing it, and then like people asking you in the comments. That's going to do better.
That's the biggest thing. These lights were from Govee, and I did a sponsorship with them.
Yeah, they look great.
I love them. I love them. And when I, was talking to them about everything, they wanted a video and like talking about the price of it. And I was like, you do understand, like, I'm actually going to use these lights for the longest time I can think of on my stream every time that I'm streaming. Like, they are going to be there. And that, I think, is more beneficial than just a video.
100%. That, especially with TikTok, like you can smell it from 10 miles away that it's a sponsorship.
And then you scroll, it's gone. At least when I see them, I just scroll right past.
So do you have any like advice for someone who's going through the mental gymnastics or something like that of what's helped you to?
Yeah, I think, and when I was starting out and smaller and everything, my biggest piece of advice is just post. Just do what you want to do, and test out new things and see what works. But at the end of the day, you got to be making the content that you want to be making. Otherwise, it's going to feel like a job. Like a lot of the stuff on YouTube that I had been making for the last, like most of last year and somewhat into this year was like a lot of glitch videos within Apex, like things that wouldn't, like you're not supposed to be able to do in the game, stuff like that. Yeah. And I like that. I think it's interesting. I find it fun. But I've kind of, moved away from that and focus more on these customs, which I do really enjoy as well. But, you have to find whatever keeps you interested, or if you're just going to always be doing the biggest thing, like the thing that you think will get you to grow, or the thing that other people are doing, but you don't like it, it's not going to be sustainable in the long run. Yeah,
I completely agree. And then Throne also.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that before we get into the clips?
Yeah. So Throne is great. It's relatively newer, at least to my understanding. But basically,
I hadn't heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's a really great feature from a community aspect. So when I just moved into my new place, got this set up, figured it out, I was like, I need to do something a little bit better so I can show some stuff off on stream.
Yeah, I need to do that too. It's tough for me because I also have client calls, and so I can't have like light up stuff or even like stuffed animals.
Yeah,
that's just not professional. So that's why I've just left it blank.
I know exactly.
I don't know what to do.
I know exactly what you're saying. I hear you on that. But I knew that I wanted something like this where I could show off some stuff. So I came across Throne. And what it is, you just choose, you basically make a wish list. So I'll go ahead and put items on there that I think would look good in the background of my stream, in this case, that people could go ahead and gift me. So if someone gifts it, and let's say while you're streaming, like I have chat come up, like every 30 minutes or something saying, here's my wish list. And people can click on it. And if they purchase it, that item, they'll get a notification on the stream, which is cool. It'll show everyone their name. Then that item gets purchased by the Throne company and it gets shipped directly to myself. So there's no work that I have to do.
And also you don't want to give out your address.
Exactly.
And things. Yeah.
There's the privacy feature of it, which is really nice. But now these were blank before. I got like this little Nessie and like these two. Oh, me too. I know. It looks great. It's like a good size and everything.
Mine's smaller.
Yeah, this one I think was the bigger of the two sizes.
And Nessie is something in the Apex game.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. And same with these figures down here. But the way that I looked at it too is like those people that gifted me these items, they're like forever in like my background with that. Yeah. Like they know that they helped to get it to look this way. Yes. And that's really cool. People enjoy like that type of
customization and like involvement.
That's the word I was looking for. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
really
huge.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you should. It's really interesting. And the way it works is like if an item is $10, let's say on Amazon or whatever website, and you put in your Throne list, it's like an extra 10% or something like that, or 5 to 10% to cover probably their costs of making it happen.
Oh, that's great.
It's not crazy terrible. And it's something that the way I do it, at least that it's on stream, or like I have lights on me right now, like just like a face light that someone gifted me as well, which is cool. So being able to use it. Yeah.
Yeah. I especially the privacy aspect. That's huge. That alone is worth it.
Yes. I agree.
Okay, great. So let's get into some clips now.
Sure.
We'll see how much time we have. At least we'll get through one. But let's go ahead and do that.
Cool. So this is a YouTube short that I recently put up. I put up on TikTok as well, but this is one of the things that we've been doing lately in the custom lobbies. I've been doing it known as Ross Says. So it's basically like Simon Says, where people have to listen to what I'm saying.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's great for content both on stream, and then I can just save the clip, edit it down, and post it. It's perfect. Best of both worlds. So I'm just going to refresh the page and roll it there. Ross says, make a circle around me. Let's close it in. Ross says, if you are on PC, spam crouch. Ross says, Red Octane, come here. Ross says, pick up my Sentinel. Ross says, you're going to go ahead and spin around
and try to hit people. You cannot purposefully aim at someone. You just need to spin around. So, well, yes, exactly like that. Ross says keep spinning, and Ross says begin shooting. Ross says keep going. Ross says keep going. Ross says spin faster. Ross says make a circle. Okay. That's that. And it's so good from a content perspective because those are all people in my community playing at that exact same time, like listening to me in real time and probably like sweating like no other, thinking one of those bullets is going to hit them and they're going to be eliminated.
Yeah, so. I was sweating just watching
honestly.
And you can't do that in regular the regular game, just so everybody's aware. Yeah.
So with that, we had everyone in like a Discord call at the exact same time so they could hear my voice with no like lag from the stream or stream delay, anything like that. And so they were just listening to my voice and following like me around and having to do what I told them to do. So.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have another one? We could probably do one more.
Yeah. So this is another one that we did in the custom lobbies. So a lot of stuff I'll do as well to get the community involved is we'll just do like funny skits, I guess, where again, things you can't really do without the collaboration that you're able to do within the custom. So this is something that you can't normally do in the game, but it does make for really good and funny content.
Days seem sometimes as if they'll
Oh, it's so funny.
Sometimes it's heels to toes.
Yeah, all those people are not supposed to be up there.
No, yeah.
Where they are at all.
Yeah, and everyone's just hiding and it looks like what the heck? I totally saw that one. That
one did pretty good for sure.
And when you're watching or as a viewer, you just assume that people really are just waiting up there as like a team.
Right.
Some people don't understand that it's a custom lobby, which makes it 20 times funnier.
There's a lot of people, yeah, for sure. And that definitely helps from like a virality standpoint.
Yeah.
From commenting, because people get mad. Like people think that actually happened because they don't understand the customs since it's so limited again.
And you're not supposed to team. Like something like that would be called teaming because there's usually 3 people per squad or per team. And that's like your group. But if you run into somebody else, then you can't talk to them. But some people have an in-game thing where you like keep crouching. It's called crouch spam. And that means you're friendly. Right. And then you can kind of talk to people and then you can kind of do things like that. But that looks like 3 or 4 teams went together. And people get so mad about that because they're like, you're teaming. You're not supposed to do that.
Cheating.
You can all game up on, or gang up on other people, and that's what they don't want.
Right.
But this is everybody in one lobby. So, but like you said, it's really rare. It's so hard to get into these.
It is. Yeah. And it's just at the end of the day for fun and everything like that. So.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing that and for such a good presentation. It's always a pleasure. And thank you everybody for tuning in and watching, and we will see you next week.